Welcome to the Reticle Up podcast, where I, three-gun Kenzie, will be interviewing competitive shooters, hunters, fishermen, archers, entrepreneurs, and outdoorsmen. Come learn with me as I interview people from all walks of life, in different disciplines, all across the world, from novices to professionals of all ages. No matter what, everyone has something they can teach you, so come join me on the journey. Welcome back to Reticle Up Podcast, everyone. So I have 4 guests on today, so we're going to do the best we can with identifying our lovely voices. So Mike Seifert, Christina Baker, Corey Scheel, and Craig McElhaney. And we are all shooting right now this year for Davinci. So we're talking a lot about PCCs, upcoming matches, and just how we kind of dove into shooting. So Mike, kick it off too, actually, if you want to talk about how do you form that relationship with Davinci and when do you start running their gun?
Yeah, so I've been with Davinci for about a year now. I actually met them last year at Area 6, and this year's Area 6 that actually just passed. So marked my 1-year anniversary with those guys. But yeah, no, I met them at Area 6, and after talking a little bit and exchanging information back and forth, they were looking for somebody to shoot on the team. So it just kind of was at the right place at the right time. Everything seemed to come together. I mean, the fact that their gun is, in my opinion, was an upgrade from what I was using, and that just was a bonus on top of it. But yeah, no, I mean, really just like a family over there at Davinci, and David and his wife Adriana. It's like my second family. So getting to shoot with guys like Craig and Darren. When I first got there, it was just us 3 guys, and we went to Aruba. That was really our first away as like a team, and it was great getting to know everybody. So I was on Craig and Darren. Darren's not with us right now. Darren Schneider, if you guys want to check him out on Facebook or something. But yeah, Craig was there and me and Darren. So then we had brought Christina on. Corey had come on through his buffer system with Davinci, and then Kenzie had come on to do a little marketing for us. So I mean, yeah, no, we're all kind of like one big happy family now. It started out small, but it's kind of cool to see how it's grown and the name Davinci take off a little bit. So that's my story.
Happy family, dysfunctional family. So Craig, actually turn it over to you. I'm curious, your relationship too. I didn't even know, you guys have been shooting IPSC, USPSA, what kind of style match do you like more?
I got on, Tom Castro, I guess, was one of the first sponsored shooters with Davinci, and then he kind of got me on, and he keeps reminding me of that all the time. So he threatens to kick me off all the time, whatever. But so I got on. I've been on with Davinci for a couple of years, and I started shooting their PCC 2 years ago. Same thing Mike was saying. I love it. It's a great system, and being with Davinci gave us opportunities, like Mike was saying, to go to Aruba. I'd never shot an IPSC match ever. I didn't even know all the rules. I mean, the whole thing about not walking stages, all that stuff. Yeah. So, me, Mike, and Darren, my first match away was in Aruba, and it was awesome. We got to get together, plan walk stages. We helped each other out. It was pretty cool because we all got to squad together, which was a lot of fun. And that was my first experience with IPSC, and my first match being away, not out of state, but out of the country. And getting to know Dave and Adriana more and more, and getting to shoot with Mike, and now Christina, because me and Christina shot Florida Open, and that's something else we can talk about. But Corey, I squatted with him at Nationals and got DQ'd. But it's been awesome. And then so we got to go to Puerto Rico too as a second trip away, and that was another fun match that me and Mike had. Fun, wet, match that we got.
Yeah, that was like a hybrid, like IPSC, USPSA match. That wasn't really through IPSC. Yeah. But, I mean, I don't know, man. I really enjoyed those 2 matches that we went. I thought those were awesome trips, and thanks to Dave for that, and Adriana for letting us go to that. But yeah,
and without not getting too far into it, that's been my experience with Davinci so far, and it's been awesome. Area 6 was the last match we shot, and I'm happy to be there, happy to represent. So it's been great.
And real quick, Craig, because I've watched you grow in PCC shooting, what classification did you start out with, and where are you now? Because you are crushing matches left and right.
I mean, I started off as a B. What got me into PCC, I've said it before on other podcasts, was really just being involved. I mean, I'm a lieutenant in the fire department, but I'm assigned to SWAT, and so kind of what drew me into that is because we run ARs, very similar. And shooting the PCC has helped me with my regular job, and I love it. And that's just kind of morphed into other stuff, like I never thought it'd be sponsored. Never thought it'd go, if you told me when I started, hey, you're going to get to go to Aruba, like, yeah, right. So I'm a B. I started off as a B and now I'm a master. I hate saying that because
but you're master. I mean, you really are. You have done all of the things and leveled up.
But to me, like, I think all of us, when we say master, like, it means you should be shooting at a master level all the time. Well,
I don't know. Like, if it was my opinion, I would say Craig is almost at a GM level. I mean, the last bunch of matches, Craig has been.
He led the team at Area 6 just now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's just been the most solid shooter all around. I mean, even though, if we went to Puerto Rico and took a 1-2, I barely edged Craig out. I mean, on an overall basis for match to match, I mean, if you had to put your money on somebody, it'd almost be Craig. I mean, he's just so consistent. He shoots a lot of alphas. I mean, he's not necessarily, I can go faster, but for me to have to keep up with his score means I have to shoot a lot of alphas too. So, I really have enjoyed shooting with Craig, especially me and him got to go to Puerto Rico. Darren was not there. So it was just me, David, Adriana, and Craig, and me and him really got to spend a lot of time together walking stages and then shooting the match. And I could say that Craig is a great squad mate to shoot with because he's just super level-headed. And I'm kind of mental sometimes. Like, it started raining for a half hour. I'm like asking, where's the radar? Craig's like, well, what are you gonna do about it? It's
just chill, man.
I guess you're right. I need somebody to tell me that. But I mean,
Mike,
Craig,
you need to go shoot a 3-gun match. Corey could probably test this, and you will have no. You will learn how to figure it out in mud, in rain, in cold, and everything. Like I've shot in everything that's like when it's mild.
I've done 3-gun. I just can't remember all those goddamn targets that they put out there. There's too many. So, but I mean, Craig is only an M, but I think Craig is actually shoots at a level that's a little bit higher than an M in my opinion. His mental game is the GM for sure. So, this is where I go back to. I always say, like, you can't judge anybody by the letters next to their name. You never know how they're wanting to get GM. Some people like to get match bumps and they don't want to get it through classifiers. And so, just because a guy's an M doesn't necessarily mean that he's, going to be below you if you're a GM. I mean, I know a lot of paper GMs, but Craig is one of those guys that proves that, the letters next to your name really mean nothing. And because when it comes to a major match and putting it on, Craig is pretty solid on every match. And so it's really nice to have him on the team because it takes a little pressure off of me because, I came onto this team having to, my expectation was to win. So it's like, well, if I'm not going to win, then I want somebody on our team to win. Or do really well.
Of course.
And it's always nice to have Craig there. That's like, because I'm either a hit or miss. Craig is just, he's always going to be.
Well, Corey, though, let's go there too. Corey was right underneath him, was not far off, 4th place. That was amazing.
Yeah, no.
Corey has like the most fun on the range when he's just a happy-go-lucky person to be there. Like I shot nationals with him, and now I got to watch him in Area 6. He's just like, yeah, shooting, like cool. You put no pressure on yourself, Corey. How do you do that?
That was new me at Open Nationals. It was like I had to turn a switch on because Greg can attest to this. That was not me in PCC Nationals. I was running around like my hair was on fire and shooting over targets and around targets, and it wasn't. And that isn't normally me. Normally I'm kind of slow and steady and shoot alphas. And I wanted to shoot with Tom. Tom was one of the things I was like, okay, I've seen his videos, seen his training things. I'm going to try and get squatted with Tom Castro. Yep. So that's how it all ended up tying in that I ended up squatting with you guys was because you were squatted with Tom as well. And
we had a good squad. We had fun.
He's a straight at it alpha intense guy. And I definitely tried to match the intensity with him, and it didn't serve me well.
Yeah. Now, so Christina, you and I have had all of the gun problems and none of the luck until now. So we're not going to jinx it, but you and I are at that B class. So we're starting out, we're getting there, right? We're getting our feet wet, and we're doing a lot better now that we have the tools that run.
Oh my gosh, 100%. My very first PCC match was 2-gun nationals. Mm-hmm. And I borrowed a gun from Brian. It was not a Davinci. There was a Davinci in the van, and I regret my life for not picking the Davinci.
I picked the Davinci. Yep.
Wouldn't have gone down on my very first stage in the pouring rain, and I got, 8 failure to shoot ats. It was like a 300-second stage because it was a catastrophic failure, and I was just beating the crap out of the gun trying to get it to work, and then I realized what was going on. My fire retaining pin had bent sideways because it started to come out in the action, and it bent sideways, and it was catastrophic. So it was such a long malfunction before I realized what was going on that I had to ditch and shoot another gun. So I just took a deep breath, and then I'm like, okay, pistol. And so I just had fun that match. But that was one heck of a torture test as far as your first PCC match. It's very intense. Did you shoot that match, Kenzie?
I shot a two-gun. That was when I borrowed a friend's gun. And this is where I learned. This is why I run an offset. None of you, or I don't know if all of you do. I know Mike doesn't. No, Corey doesn't. I shot a stage. As I'm shooting, the red dot flies off of the gun, like flies. Okay, I'm not joking. So I'm like, cool. And I just have blank rail. So I start shooting no shoots. And then I run to the other box and I'm like, kill me now. And I'm just shooting all over the place, trying to do aim of sight, point of aim, whatever. And then I learned offset for sure. But I did. I borrowed the Davinci and it ran like a top. And I should have done that too. But, yep.
I did that. I had tons of malfunctions at Area 8 with ammo, and I didn't train. That was one thing I did last year. I didn't train. I just went and shot all these major matches with like no real home range or time spent on the range. Yeah. So now that I'm on a team, it's like this. I was completely burnt out. I was obviously going to shoot more still, but I was on the very edge of burnout. And then all of a sudden I'm part of this team and it is exactly what I needed. And I got this big fire brewing inside me and I'm going to bring it out on the range. So it's exciting stuff.
You brought up something important. Who trains here? Who actually like practices? Like live fire, dry fire.
I mean, define practice. Like, because I shoot a lot of locals. To me, that's my practice. I don't understand.
No.
So I mean, do I do dry fire at home? No, because to me, and this is what I was just talking about with Kita a little bit. It just doing dry fire at home for me does nothing, because it's like going to the, like if I was going to go play golf and I was going to go to the range and I just went to the golf range and I didn't hit any balls. I just swung the club 150 times like without hitting a ball. It's like, I don't know. To me, it doesn't give you the same effect. I mean, it's very easy to work on your transitions and stuff. And maybe there's a couple things you can do. Like me and Craig were talking about one time where I was saying I was having trouble shooting on the move, and he said you could definitely work on that in dry fire. Where I understand that you can get better at the movement part where you can keep the dot nice and level, but until you're actually shooting the gun, to me, it's not giving you the same. And I know that that's bad advice for most people, but I do it kind of my own way, and it's usually a little bit different. And I don't know. I learned the hard way. That's all.
All right. So, Craig, what does that training, since you raised your hand, look like? And then you and Christina, do y'all pair up and train down there?
Funny, we haven't yet, but we spoke about 2 Fridays from now, meeting down at Homestead Training Center and training. I do a lot of dry fire. I can't get to a match every week. It's impossible for me. So I'll go to the PD range, and it's an open area, 25, indoor, and I'll set up stuff and I'll work on movement. To me, if I'm like, look, if I shot a Mike or Delta, well, then dry fire can help me. I mean, I'm a big proponent of dry fire, but you have to confirm in live fire. You can't just sit there and dry fire and do nothing else. Yeah. But I like to do that. When I can't get to the range, I may as well try to do something. Mm-hmm. And I go to Homestead, probably twice a month, and I'm there practicing. So I try to do as much as I possibly can. I know, like Mike, I mean, a lot of these guys, they get to shoot every week, and I just can't, and it's impossible. But that's me.
What is the dry fire drills then that you run for PCC?
There's a lot. I mean, so you can do standing stuff. There's a lot you can work on, especially with the PCC. Like if there's a lot with the grip. If you're not pushing your shoulder into the stock on every single round, well, then you need to work on that in dry fire. I mean, because that should be like all the time. Every shot you take, your shoulder should be pushed in, and you should be pulling the PCC in. Movement, shooting on the move, practicing setting up stuff, and just learning learning what your dot does at distances, 5, 10, 15, whatever, and seeing what you can do. There's a lot of stuff that I've learned in dry fire. Now, if I was going to matches all the time, I would be learning that in matches, so I'm trying to bridge a gap, per se, but, that's for me, and it doesn't work for everybody, but I think dry fire can help everybody.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
it is boring. I mean, it's tough, man. It's boring.
Craig and Christina are both in Florida. So like like up here, I'm PA. I mean, once the matches start up in like April, all the locals have just started. I can pretty much shoot 3 times a week within a 2-hour drive from where I live. So like, what are the matches like down in Florida? It goes 12 months a year. There's no stopping. And I mean, like, if you had the time, could you shoot that much down there?
Yes, absolutely.
Time?
Yeah.
Like in a normal drive, not like a 4-hour drive for a local.
Mine and Christine's problem is, pretty much if you want to shoot, it's going to be a 2-hour drive. You can probably test. Now, Homestead, they used to do USPSA. Now they do IDPA. I'm even thinking about maybe shooting a couple IDPA matches. I know nothing about it, but just to get trigger time.
Good luck.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
Because based on what you're saying, then how many matches are there a month down in like your area within a 2-hour drive? Because I mean,
So
there's a good amount.
Within 2 hours, there's Deep 50 near Naples, and that is a USPSA match every Saturday. And Matt Patel puts on those matches, and they're pretty good. He always adds something timing wise with like a popper, something that's like going to make or break you, like a mini stage or like low ports. He always adds something that you might see mostly at a major or something like that. So
maybe in the Northeast we just slam it in when we can because we don't have 12 months to shoot. So we really have
know.
No, I mean it's not that I can't. It's just that it's not that there's not around. It's just that I can't get out. Like OK Corral does some of the best stages around, man, and it's a 2-hour drive, and it's awesome, and it's like twice a month. Then Hanson is 2 hours away, and they do it twice a month. So there's plenty to shoot.
You got to get the SWAT boss. You got to get the SWAT boss to you got to justify that. Like, hey, I'm going to take the team over here to this USPSA match on the clock, and we're going to train.
Yeah.
But I think the dry fire drills are really important. Like, I know when I was helping my friend Malin get started, the biggest stuff that I've started seeing now is like when the wrist has to be below belt, but stock has to be on belt, and your wrist doesn't line up. Even practicing getting onto the grip that fast, sometimes you can miss it. And then nowadays, even stock to cheek weld, I've had my jersey get caught up on that, right? But there's different start positions that I've been working on as well. And then I use like a pole or a wall in my house and do the over the shoulder movement, right? So instead of going up, down, left, I mean, that kind of helped me navigate the length of a rifle. Because Craig, similarly, I was shooting 3-gun so much that I was using PCC to start training because it was cheaper than 223.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of you can move up in classification with training just in dry fire.
Yeah.
Because a lot of that's standing in a box and like especially in PCC at the beginning of it, everything was based on open, and there weren't a lot of people even after it switched off and becoming based on open. There weren't a lot of people that could reload fast. It just wasn't something you do because you don't do it on the clock. So you could practice. That's how I just dry fire reload practice. Over my recliner, the magazine didn't even hit the floor. I didn't even have to bend over. Put back on my belt, do it again. But as far as dry fire goes, I haven't done a whole lot of that until this ammo shortage. And now when I do like a live fire drill, I'll run through it once dry fire first.
Yeah.
Then I'll shoot it live. And then maybe, I'll throw 1 or 2 run-throughs dry fire to take 20 rounds back out of the practice ammo. But other than that, that's about my dry fire.
See, and there's one benefit. I mean, there's not very many, if any at all, but there's one of living in Jersey. I can, if I want to practice reloads, I'll just shoot a New Jersey USPSA match. 10-round mag limit, and you're doing 3 mag changes a stage. So if you want some practice, it's not fun. It's like going to the gym, but sometimes if you're really feeling like your reloads suck, going to a New Jersey match isn't the worst thing because it's like reload practice.
Yeah.
Past that, that's about it.
First date ever. First now. Let's part.
Now I want to give Corey an opportunity to going back to the Davinci stuff. Yeah.
It's not the worst.
California, New York, and New Jersey?
Yeah, I would say that's about the order.
New Jersey.
Maybe in that order.
And maybe now New York, maybe New York, California, because California.
Yeah, big boy mags in California.
Yeah.
So.
And you cannot go to prison when you have them. You step foot with my carry gun in New Jersey, I'm going to prison. It's the worst state, 100%.
I hate to think
we got to keep our stuff out of state, So that's all.
Yeah.
If you keep it in the right spot, then nobody could really mess with you. It sucks that you're gonna have to drive and pick them up to go somewhere, but I mean, if that's what you want to do to abide by the law, that's what we all do.
Yeah, that's what we do. Yeah, Corey, how did you meet David and Adriana and start that relationship with the buffer system, and how did you get that into Davinci as an upgrade item, for their shop?
So Mike was shooting before Davinci. He was shooting my buffer system in his JP for a little bit, and then upgraded to the Davinci. And they were kind of Mike kind of thought, "Oh, we'll keep it the way the Davinci wants it." And you talked to David, I think, and said, "Hey, I want to run this buffer system. Can I put it in this gun?" and that kind of just he kind of just facilitated the whole thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I was running it. I liked it in my JP. So JP obviously runs their JP buffer, and that's what David kind of, and it's still an option. And that's for people out there that are listening. That's one thing that's cool about Davinci. It's kind of a la carte. So if you have something that you really like, Dave will put it on the gun for you, and then he'll send it to you that way. So if you have a certain trigger you want or a certain stock, you could talk to David a little bit. It's not more like, hey, this is the gun and I'm going to give it to you, and then you have to buy all your aftermarket accessories. If you talk to David beforehand, he'll, if you want a new grip or whatever, and you tell him whatever, he'll put it on the gun for you and just charge you whatever it was, I think. So, but
cool.
Yeah, I don't know. The Scheel buffer, like I was running, Dave used to put JP buffers in his thing, and I had taken my JP buffer out and started running Corey's buffer because I liked it more. And then I was like, I kind of felt weird at first, but now knowing Dave, I don't know why I felt weird, because he was more than cool with it. But I was like, hey, I really want to run Corey's buffer, because I took my JP out of my other one, out of my JP to run this, and you're giving me the JP. I kind of felt weird at first asking, but he was like, oh yeah, that's cool. He's like, do you really like it more? I'm like, honestly, personally, I do. And now there's, Darren and Craig, I think they have a different opinion. I think they like their JP with their load that they have, or they're just used to it. But it's very much a personal preference. But for me, I put it in, I instantly felt
me too,
a lot less recoil on my shoulder. And it planted the dot a little bit better. And, I thought that it was just good for my gun. So when Dave was on board with it, Dave was like, oh, well, maybe we'll offer that as an option on the guns if people want them. So like we can have a JP buffer, you can have an armor spec buffer, or now you can have a Scheel roller buffer as like your options on the website. So that's now a standard option. And that's just kind of what they've been doing. So
what I do love about that though is, while you're probably nervous, right, is like, hey, how do you go tell like someone that sponsors you, like, you want to change something on their gun, right? Or even though that JP part's not theirs, it's something that's really amazing when a sponsor says, run what works for you, right? Even if it's not mine, or if it's not something that we usually start out with, run what works for you, because they want you to be successful. That's rare to find.
In a way, I really think that Dave puts together a really nice upper lower. It's a super well machined thing, and I honestly, nothing against JP, they build great guns, but I liked it more than my GMR 15 above and beyond. I thought it was more balanced, it was a little bit lighter, and I thought it kicked a little bit less. And then with the addition of Corey's buffer, I thought it was, it was a great gun for me. So, the whole sponsorship thing worked out for me, because it's like, sometimes you get sponsored, or people will rush into sponsorships and of things that aren't necessarily the best quality, just to say that they're sponsored, and then they're stuck shooting something that's not working for them. And I got super lucky in the fact that, I'm sponsored by a company that makes a great product. And the thing, when you talk about reliability, to me was the biggest thing when I was talking to Dave initially before, it all became official, was that I can't be going to a match that's, a 9 or 10 hour ride and a 12-stage match and have my gun not work for 3 of the 12 stages.
That's out of the country.
Yeah, or out of the country. But then, that's different a little bit. That's with Dave. So if something broke, that's not just me going to another match. But, there's a lot of time and effort that goes in this game to have your equipment not run perfectly. And, the fact that I can trust that gun every match that I go to work is something that, just takes a little bit of pressure off. It's not something I'm ever worried about.
Yeah.
But yeah, reliability is super awesome on that.
Amazing. It's an amazing feeling to have that. Just ask Kenzie or I, when we've had so many guns take crap on us at like a level 4 match. I think it was 2 out of 3 nationals. Last year I had gun problems. It was awful. One of them was PCC, but I haven't had a single malfunction since I've been running this gun. And I ran Dave's gun before I got this gun, and I didn't have a single problem and I don't reload. So I've ran various types of ammo that I've gotten offline. Now I run Outdoor Dynamics PCC load. That's been running great. I haven't had a single malfunction once, and that speaks volumes.
Talk about that, actually.
Guns, if you want to contrast Davinci's guns, I dare you to pick up Craig's gun and then pick up my gun. I have a pencil barrel because I needed just a little bit less weight versus Craig. You can tell him how heavy your gun is.
Craig, how big and heavy is your gun?
What episode is this, Kenzie?
It's episode 69, guys. So
it used to be heavy. I've lightened it. I still weight the stock. I actually weight the stock because I like it. But Mike was talking about the Davinci's. One of the biggest questions I get asked, especially at Area 6, and they were asking about my PCC, was, is the barrel rammed? Is it a ramp barrel? Is it a ramp barrel? There was like probably 6 guys that asked me about a ramp barrel. I'm like, listen, man, this thing doesn't jam. It runs and it runs and it runs and it runs. It doesn't need a ram barrel, you know. The thing runs and it's awesome. Now I've had a GMR 15. I love it. It's a great gun, but I'm shooting Davinci and I love it, so I can't complain. One question I wanted to hear from Corey, how you developed the roller buffer, because I've been meaning to ask you. I just wanted to hear your story and how that happened. If it's too much off topic, hopefully not. But
how many bottles of alcohol did that?
No.
No. So it really came. I started playing with an open gun and the tuning of it, and talking to people about how you use the hammer spring versus the recoil spring to tune. And, you know, a lot of people say the only thing you need for the recoil spring for is to chuck a round off the magazine and send it home. They're like, it doesn't, 7 pound is enough, 8 pound if you must. And, but do everything else with the hammer spring, use the hammer to slow the slide down. So I started thinking about that and how I can apply that into a PCC. And so the first thing was really hammer springs. I was playing with the Hyperfire trigger and the 2 struts. I had big springs on those and broke some hammer pins and I abused some Hyperfire triggers trying that out. And so I was just thinking about how to do it, and we just need we need a detent to hold it forward. And so that's sort of what I came up with the buffer. I've got like a cutaway here, and it holds it in, and then it releases all of a sudden. And then I've got a 5 pound spring. So, your typical recoil spring, the JP system, or just a regular spring, 15, 18 pounds.
Yeah.
And we're on a 5 pound spring with my system.
So less mass, less spring weight, and it just, it's not, you don't have that. So, I mean, what is felt recoil? You know what I'm saying, Craig? It's like when that buffer comes back and hits the back of the gun, like, how can you smooth that out more? So Corey figured out, like, well, they'll use a heavy thing and a heavy spring. Like, well, how can I lighten that up? So those rollers, they kind of take away that initial boom of the gun, and then you can have something super light and in the back, and that's where I said instantly when I put it in. I mean, you could feel that. It's less recoil right away on your shoulder, and it's I don't know, like that. It's only a PCC for everybody out there. I understand that, but you can feel it. It's not nothing, and I mean, you could definitely feel the difference on your shoulder. That was the biggest thing for me that sold it.
Well, and some people talk about recoil versus dot bounce and muzzle flip, and I think the biggest thing that we do is the muzzle dip when everything goes back home. Normally you've got, 22 ounces of bolt and buffer and an 18 pound spring pushing it forward. And so I think that's where the gains are in this system is we're not slamming it home like that.
Like returning to zero, essentially,
right.
As flat as possible.
Or even not below zero. I think a lot of them are going even past zero because of the weight.
Well, like Kenzie, like you think about it, when it goes backwards, so you fire around, everything goes back. The front of your gun wants to go up, and then when everything rams home, and now it wants to dip down. So, like, if you can smooth that out, it's going to do less of this and less of this, and then it's just going to stay
I slow mode my gun. I don't know if you guys have done that. Go watch a slow mo of your gun. It's pretty impressive.
You know that when you air this, Kenzie, they're gonna be like people going, "It's just a PCC," they're gonna be nonstop. Like,
hey, people, Greg, they're all ones that have never shot one before. That's what I have found.
Yeah, how many of these turds though have changed their springs and their pistols, triggers?
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, but they're gonna give us help. 69 PCC shooters.
Yep,
that's right. That's what we do.
But we're not talking about changing the world. We're making small gains now. We're going small things. It's the same thing with changing your load or anything like that. At this point, there's not huge gains to be made. We're taking small chunks here or there.
Yeah. Now, okay, I did want to ask everyone this question, so feel free to answer or not. I'll start with you, Corey. What ammo are you running through your gun? What's running, and worked for you for that?
I run mine's kind of a different load than a lot of people, but it's a 147 grain bullet. It's actually a lead bullet, not coated, not plated. The same company, Summers Enterprises is the company out of Missouri, I believe. The same company has a painted bullet or a coated bullet, and I think it feels snappier. I can close my eyes and feel the difference. So I prefer the wax coated lead. It's cheaper.
Yeah.
And that's what I run for 99% of everything. I do have a steel challenge load too, but I don't really shoot steel challenge. So
I got time for that. Craig, what about you?
I run Brass Monkey 125, 124 grain, 125 with sport pistol.
Coated, right?
Yep, coated bullets.
Okay.
And the shoot sport pistol. It's a great load, man. It's awesome.
What power factor are you running? I forgot to ask that.
It's a high 130s, and the dot, I mean, this doesn't move,
Yeah.
To me, it's all about, it's not necessarily, I don't care how hard it's hitting my shoulder. I care what I'm seeing on the dot. Really, that's the bottom line. So if it's going to run fast and it's pounding my shoulder, I don't really care. It's not really that hard, and to me, everything is the dot. So that's kind of where I'm at.
If we complain about it being hard and we're PCC shooters, we're just going to have a tough time in life.
I don't care.
I
don't care what anybody says. I don't give a damn.
It's so much fun.
I'm running,
got so much fun.
Yeah, I'm running something similar to Craig. I'm actually, I reload my own ammo. Dave hates my load because he hates Tight Group, but I'm sponsored by Steel Valley Casting, and they're out of like the guy. He's right out by Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
But they send me 124 grain TC bullets loaded real short at 1055, and I'm using like 3 of a Tight Group, and it's coming out at like Craig, high 130s.
Okay.
So and I've always found that it's been super reliable. So
yeah.
Yeah, accurate enough. I mean, look, if it's, if it doesn't hit the same hole, I'm not that accurate on every single shot anyway. So, I'm not really looking for that, but the consistency is there.
Mm-hmm.
And, the rounds are, for the price, what you guys are paying, it's, well worth it. So it's not a bad ammo if you guys are checking something out, but, it's coded around. So
cool.
What do you got, Christina?
I didn't mention this. So I'm running Winchester 231 or HP 38 powder. Like 2.8 grains of it, and I make like 128 to 130 power factor.
See, I can't be that close. I can't be that close. Christina, I want to hear what ammo. I want to hear what ammo you're running, but like we also have to talk about power factors because, like, to me, that's cutting it close, man. I was 125.1 one time at Area 8, and I said I will never be that close again.
I had like 10 slips from Chrono from last year, all in a bucket, and I looked at them all. And they were all right there, 128 to 130.
It don't matter, depending on your powder, whether it's cold or hot, that could really affect it. But I mean, my butthole was puckered on that third shot. Like, oh, this is either gonna make my day or break my day right here. Like, I'm either going home or like that. So I said, oh, it'd never come that close again. But thank God the Davinci actually, you need like a 138 power factor in order for that thing to run. And so I'm never worried about Chrono, no matter what. What are you running, Christina?
Well, John Royer at Outdoor Dynamics out of North Carolina actually developed a PCC-specific round after I started working with him, and I ran it at Area 6. It ran good. Actually shot 133 power factor. It's 124 grain full metal jackets. And last time I was at the range, I shot some stock blazer. Is something that worked, and I shot it. I shot 163 power factor, so
it's hot.
It's quite a bit better for me. I mean, sure, PCC you can shoot whatever, and it's not untrue, but the more competitive you can be, the better. And
it's
certainly
makes a huge difference. It's huge.
Yeah, it's like you notice when it's hot like that.
Well, sure. I'm in I shoot 147s, and they're they're not coated, plated, but they run 151 power factors. So that's why I'm getting into reloading. I just bought this press this year, so I am a noob. I bought 231 though, Corey, so I'm ready for that.
Okay.
I've shot factory. Like, it's not the worst thing ever factory, but I mean, it's the difference between shooting alpha and having your dot go alpha delta or 2 alpha. So I mean, like, if you can lower that power factor, it makes it significantly softer in the fact that like your dot doesn't bounce nearly as high. So when you're shooting USPSA or competition shooting, if you're just plinking, it doesn't really matter either way. But I mean, when you're competition shooting, you're usually shooting 2 at each paper target. So the less that dot moves on that double tap, the better. So it's really whatever you can do. And if you're shooting 151 power factor versus like I'm shooting 135, 138, Corey's shooting 128. I mean, it's significant on how much it feels like and how much the dot doesn't move when you're shooting that. So I think you're going to have a good year when you start learning how to use that billing back there.
I know. I am. I'm working on it.
Yeah, it's huge. And I'm a travel nurse, so I people are like, why don't you just reload? And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, I have to move. Sometimes I've moved 3 times since I've been in Miami. So I'm like, you have to move all the time. I'm like, you really want me to carry around a press and powder and all these components? I'm like, you are crazy. Although somebody pointed out you could probably just use somebody else's press, like maybe or something. But anyways, like shooting pistol even, I mean, you could always buy competition rounds, but everybody's still shooting softer than you. So it's really cool this year that I have somebody that actually developed a round and I don't have to reload and I can buy it ready to go. And it actually be like a competitive round versus something a little bit hotter than everybody else's.
Yeah, the Florida Open, you were shooting hot rounds.
Yeah.
I could see the end of your barrel goes all over the place. And I was like, girl, what are you shooting, man?
No. Well, part of it.
Now you're officially sponsored by a bullet company, which, which is nice.
Yes. Yeah. The game level just got up a little bit.
Yeah. That's good.
Christina, I've been fighting the buying that forever because of moving. I'm not 30 yet, and I've moved 28 times in my life, and I am gonna have to move again when I buy a house. And I wanted to do it when I found a house, but it's been a year in the market, and I still haven't found a house. So there he is.
You go, girl.
Yeah. Oh, Craig, talk about Florida Open. What was that match like? You and Christina shot together. What were those stages like? Because that's one of the most competitive and like difficult, challenging matches I think to shoot.
Over the past years, it's been a great match, and this was the first year that it was all open targets. There was no shoots, no hardcover, no nothing. Everything was 32 rounds.
Shannon left. Okay.
No steel.
No steel. So it was, and it was
no movers.
Yeah, and it was as fast. Yeah, it was as fast as you wanted to go. So you can go as slow as you wanted or as fast as you wanted. And it was guys that just tried to really push and threw mics. It was a fun match. It was really, I'm not saying that every match should be like that. It was just fun to shoot something like that. Usually the Florida Open is super tough, man. I mean, you're talking half IPSC target swingers, double stack. I mean, usually there's some really tough, but the match is always great. And I thought this match was great. I mean, I have zero complaints. I'm sure that if it's done every year like that, it's not going to be, you want something different. But this was a good change, and it was fun. It was a really, really good match. I have no complaints. It was fun, and it was tough. I mean, it was tough because you could not go slow. You had to haul ass, and you had to get alphas. So
yeah. Did you shoot Florida sectional as well in Volusia?
Yes, I did.
Great. That was a fun match. Christina, you yelled at me for showing up at the last minute. Do you remember that?
I was like, really? Okay, there goes that PCC lady right there. I'm like, here's a PCC lady right here.
You're saying, now you guys are on the team. It's fun to watch you guys both compete and be, because you guys all be nice to each other. But I know you both really want to.
Yeah.
So.
Eventually, they're going to be going. They're going to be starting pulling each other's hair and stuff.
Right. Yeah. Well, Tanya Harding actually.
They're all like super big cheerleaders, and it's like, let me get your coat, and oh, your lipstick.
Until someone's close, and then you're yanking each other's hair.
Right.
Although I did buy
around and backwards, like, I got your mags for you.
That'd be so y'all.
Yeah.
Want me to load your mags?
I did load some of them, but yeah.
Yep.
My goal, my goal is I'm sure Christina's the same. We got to keep up with the boys, though.
I'm in the learning period. I'm going to make gains for me every single match, and if I can do that, I'm happy. I'm just.
If I can beat Mike on several stages, I'm happy, which I did. Check mark.
God, I don't even want to talk about it. Coming off my worst major match performance I've ever had in my life. There was a lot of anticipation.
You had two hot ladies.
It was a long 9-hour ride of my car not working to have to deal with that result. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, but that's a good topic. So what do you do? How do you learn from having a bad match, man? I mean, what do you do?
Honestly, I've been not doing yard work for a week. My grass looks great. So
that has nothing to do with shooting, Mike.
I've been trying not to think about it. Honestly, so doing the podcast with Kita, and one of the things Kita talks about is, when you're looking at your match performance, even, you're looking for outliers, and you kind of get rid of the outliers and you look at the average of what you did over the whole thing. So for me, I'm kind of taking that whole match as an outlier. I mean, there was just, like if you guys ever had a day where just nothing ever goes right, and it feels like no matter what you do, it's just, and that's kind of how I felt shooting. So like the first day I came out and I was freezing and I had a lot of mics. I had like one mic per stage. And on the first two, I had a mic on stage 1 and a mic on stage 2. And, I'm really good at shot calling and I just did not call those mics. And that like kind of got in my head. And then I ran a weird plan on 3, like, all right, whatever. So then the first day is over. And then like, all right, so I had a new plan. I was talking to Brian Harrington a little bit. Like, I'm just going to shoot alphas. Well, like the first stage I come out, I shot 24 alpha, 2 Charlie. And I had a 24-1 and I had like a mic or on like a silhouette target. And it's like by a quarter inch, by like that much, by just a hair. And it's like, like I just shot everything perfectly in the middle and it was a little slower than I normally do it. And I still like by a quarter inch took a hardcover miss. And it was like, that whole match. So honestly, I'm just kind of letting it go because when we went to Puerto Rico, man, I felt like I was very on and, my game was good. And that was the last major I shot before Area 6. And it's like, I don't know if I can really, I don't want to get too much in my own head and say that, something was off other than like, I just had everything going against me that weekend. My car died on the way down. And then,
no, you got you had a lot of stuff, but like, you can think like, okay, what was I thinking? Where was my mindset? Where was my dot? There's a lot of stuff that you can, well, you can go through. I wasn't there to talk you off the cliff, man. I wasn't there.
Well, I mean, like, look, here's what I go back to is like, I'm not there for second or third even. Like, I'm there to win. And like, if you have a 12-stage match and you're going to blow your first 3 or 4 stages, I mean, it's over. Like, I mean, like you're not going to, compete with the top guys. And it's not like I'm trying to win. I'm not trying to win C class or A class, whatever it may be. Like I'm trying to, to win GM, you got to win the whole goddamn thing. So like, if you're going to do that, after my first 3 where I was just so far down, I mean, it's kind of like, well, there's 25% of my match is garbage. And then like, okay, let's see if we can get it back after this, like, first little section. And then you don't. So now you go through the whole first day, having shot half the match, and it's just trash. And it's like, well, I mean, there's literally, I would have to shoot like Tom Castro times 2 in order to come back and take all the points back. And it's like, not only would I have to win each stage for PCC, I would have to like win by 20%. And it's like, are you really going to hit 6 home runs in a row? Probably not. So like at that point, I took Kenzie's camera and I took a lot of good pictures. I can tell you that. I had a great time doing that. But I don't know, man.
You shot some good stages when you quit putting the pressure on yourself.
Yeah, you did.
Not even. That's what I'm saying. So
yes, even. Yes, even. Hold on. Yes, even. I watched you crush by like 2 to 3 points above me, and you and Corey were super competitive at that second day. Once you didn't give a shit, you had the camera. You had a lot more fun. The wonky stage doesn't count because you blew the crap out of that one for sure.
Well,
so
I told Craig it was his fault. I wanted to shoot with Craig. I feel like I did really well in Puerto Rico, and I had Craig in my corner there. And
rude.
Able to talk me down from the cliff.
Okay, blame your squad mates. Okay, you don't take responsibility for
my teammates. He wasn't my squad mate. Yeah, blame my teammates.
They're gonna start pulling your hair. Your little nubs.
Well, Mike Seifert, Corey Scheel, SCSE. So Mike's always after me. So I feel like it's because I did good. I turned the pressure up.
100%. Actually, Rick's probably doing.
I was feeling it, dude. Let me tell you.
Craig, are you going to South Carolina sectionals?
I wish. I can't. I can't get off work. I would love to go. As a matter of fact, I got the squad. I met Todd Holmes and Tyler Somethingheimer, Messenheimer.
I don't know how to say his last name.
Messenheimer.
Yeah.
We actually stayed in the Airbnb. Me and Tom and those guys and Donovan Setner, and they were awesome. And I would love to shoot that match, but I just can't. I can't get off. I can't.
Yeah, no worries.
Well, it's pretty weird thinking, I'm going to drive like 24 hours to shoot an afternoon only. Because my end is far from everything. So it's going to, 24 hours driving.
Is it really only a half day?
Yeah,
it's a half day. Shoot the whole entire match. The thing, you should just move to Tennessee. Everything for me is like 3 hours away. All the matches that I want to shoot.
Yeah, that's in the middle of the land.
I don't think anybody, nobody that I know around, like my family has no idea what we do. Like, like when you really think about it, like we just went to Area 6 and I think my total time was 126 seconds. And I drove, 19 hours. And, it's like I drove 19 hours to shoot for less than
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Yeah, it's like pretty solid. It's for the love of the game.
For the love of the game. That's well said.
The one thing I would say, and I thought Area 6 was great. I thought last year was great. I love that range. The venue was great. The ROs were awesome. The only, not complaint, but maybe suggestion would be, maybe have something at the end. Don't even have to have an awards banquet. But if they had something where, just drinks after. Everybody could get together because that's what's the most fun. I mean, is I didn't get to see everybody. We didn't get to hang out. A lot of us are only friends from matches, Right. And so I missed out on seeing a lot of guys. Yeah. And I thought, hopefully, if they're hearing this, hopefully they can maybe as a suggestion, maybe do something after the match where everybody just doesn't haul ass after they're done shooting. Maybe we can all get together and have some camaraderie and some fun and just hang out. I think that would be fun. You don't have to have an awards ceremony. We don't need to have that, but
I think they should though. I think they should. I mean, sure, but the best part. That's why I think I really
no, I know, but
Puerto Rico, Aruba, that was awesome.
Yeah, no, I know, but they want to personalize the plaques, so I get that. But if you don't do that, if you're against it, then at least have us have something afterwards where we can all get together. Because I hope they do that next year.
And we were done early enough to do that, and I do think that is valid. Yeah. It's very weird. Yeah,
that could probably be good for the caterer too. He could get on board with that and probably sell another meal worth of shit.
Yeah, and I mean pay or whatever. I don't care, but it was just
have a place for people to hang out and a place to take pictures and stuff like that, and everyone will do it. Yeah.
Even if you did awards with the plaques without them engraved, I mean, that's still valuable. So, it's weird not having that.
All I care that it says first PCC. I don't care if it has my name on it. If they gave it to me, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, you just got to earn it.
You don't have to personalize it. Just give it to me.
Get a gold cup that you can stand and hold while you shake the hand, and you don't even take it with you. It just gets in every picture's the same freaking gold.
There you go.
And everyone's like, "Yeah, I won. Number one with the cup," and then they leave.
Like
then you get your plaque in the mail.
I'll take that.
Senior picture. Everybody puts that stupid thing on.
Are any of you guys going to nationals in Colorado?
All of us.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Okay.
I've got the best house in Grand Junction rented, 5,400 square feet or something. It's wild.
Where am I not on the invite for these houses every match?
Yeah, not every match. This is only the second one, but.
Yeah, hey, Greg, are we shooting together? Are we all squadding up, or are you doing your other thing? How are we doing this?
I have no idea.
What's your other thing,
Greg? No idea.
Well, Greg likes to shoot with Tom. Greg likes to shoot with Tom, which is okay.
My boyfriend. We're married.
And that's okay. I just really enjoy when we're all together. We haven't seen Darren in a while because Darren had shot Area 6 on Thursday, and
I missed him. I totally missed Darren.
Me too.
Yeah.
There's just something about all being together. It feels like.
No, man, I love Darren. I wish we, it'd be fun to. It was always fun to shoot together. You mentioned, Mike. You mentioned the award ceremony in Puerto Rico. I mean, and I mentioned this on other podcasts, on Tom's podcast. We are lacking in celebrating guys that win and all that stuff. I mean, Puerto Rico and Aruba, they have they got podium. They have everybody's clapping. It's like a big deal. It's pretty cool, and I think we could do much better. Especially, like I said, even if we don't do that, even if we do something where we're all just getting together and hanging out at the end, would be awesome.
Well, I agree, because that's where I got to talk to Mason Lane and Kaylee Lane. It's a lot easier to go up to somebody after the match is over, when everybody's decompressed, and not have to hey, I don't know if they are on deck, if they're going to shoot soon, or
exactly.
Did they just DQ? Did they not? When everybody's at the award ceremony, everybody's done shooting, and then you're all having a couple beers.
Say, how'd your match go? You don't want to ask somebody in the middle of their game and be like, so how is your match going? I mean, I do that, even though I know some people hate it, because I genuinely want to know, hey, how are you? Tell me.
Has anyone ever answered though, how's your match in a positive way ever?
I try to always do that. I never talk negative.
Well, that's why I like Greg. I'm the complete opposite.
Only I think I've heard that only a handful of times. It's one of the first ones was Mason Lane at Area 8, and he said, "Yeah, it's going pretty good. Well, he won."
Exactly.
I mean, look, I've had those matches before, right? When you're shooting well. It's just, that's why I love this game. That's why it's a challenge to me. That's what keeps me coming back. Is that you can never do perfect. Yeah. Right, you go bowling, you can throw 300. You can't do any better than that, right? There's a limit. So with shooting, much like golf, which is why I also really enjoy golf, they're very mental, and there's no limit to how good you can do, and you can always be better. And if you're, I don't know, I analyze.
If you're a GM, you can't.
I'm pretty.
Perfect. You're gonna win.
Well,
you can't shoot
I'm
perfect.
pretty self-deprecating. So I'm not very positive on myself, because I'm trying to get to a level that's that feels perfect. So I always look at the negative things.
Come on, man, you can do better. You're going for perfect.
Well, I get that.
All alpha.
That's what I'm trying to explain. What are you talking about? That's what I'm trying to explain. Stop talking. But I mean, it's like there's always striving for perfection. So, you know, like it's never a time like I'll never forget this one stage I shot. It was like when I was still shooting MPX. I had just started. It was my first year. But like I can still think about it to this day. It was a stupid local match, but God, that stage just felt perfect. Like my footwork, you know, I think I had all alphas except for one. I had all alphas and one Charlie. It was like a 26 round stage. Like I went 1 for 1 on steel. Like that felt perfect. So it's like, to me, I'm like always striving to know, like, I know that was good. And so, you know, until I could put together a 12 stage match that's like that, like I always want to come back. And then even if you do put together a 12 stage match, it's like, you know, the other best part about this game is getting to see guys like Corey and Craig and Christina, like, and Kenzie. Like, we're all from different parts of the country, and these matches bring people together. And, you know, like when you have a team like we have at Davinci, where it's very like family oriented, it feels like family. You know, it's just, it's always, you know, almost looking forward to it more than shooting the match itself, is seeing everybody and getting to hang out. So I agree with Craig that it'd be very nice to have that more. But then again, I was just thinking about too, Craig, like, you know, what about the, you know, Vliegers and all that aren't, you know, they're from Kentucky and they're not, you know, shoot Saturday. They're not going to be able to hang around on Sunday. So
No.
would you have a little thing like Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night for like all the shooters when they're done? Like, hey,
no, I wouldn't give anybody an excuse to drink the day before they got to shoot, man.
Yeah.
you know,
No,
but maybe after the match, you know, I mean, after the match, listen, I mean, you know, you said it, we're all from other places, and most of us are friends from shooting, you know, in the shooting community brings us together. Well, why take away the thing that brings us together? We can't really have camaraderie, you know, other stages and stuff. I mean, Brennan Conaway came and talked to me and say hi and all that stuff. And I was the next shooter up, and I felt crappy because I'm like trying to run through mental game. Yeah. He said hi, and that was it. And so I texted him later, apologize, but it's like, that's our only time we have to, you know, see each other, which sucks. I mean, hopefully they can change that. I hope they do.
That's why,
that was one of the things that was really cool.
I wish you could have everybody on your same spot, and you can't. I wish. We try. Yeah. And like, I do love shooting with teams, and I love shooting with like teammates and stuff. But one thing I have been intentional about, no matter what discipline I've been shooting, 3-gun, USPSA, whatever, is I try to squad with people I don't know. So I don't always get on the same squad with my same buddy all the time. Like, I know a lot of people do that, but it's different because I do go by myself. But that's how I've met so many people and learned so many different things, and I love it.
Yeah, well, me and Corey are doing that this year. So me and Corey have, you know, we talked about our match schedule, and me and Corey are on the same squad for, I think, at least half my majors.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've gone through that. Corey's like, you know, I try to shoot with different people, but it's like, I'd rather just shoot with my buddies and people that I know I'm going to have a fun day with, because that's going to make me have a better match performance too, where
that's part of
I can laugh and joke, and it, you know, like when you have a bad stage, you can kind of let it go a little easier when you're with your friends versus people you don't know, because you got nobody to talk to. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
you know,
I've run into that
this year. Like, we're just going to shoot. You know, what's your schedule? What's my schedule? Let's squat up whenever we can. Yeah. So, you know,
Christina, I'm working on your mental game. We know we need areas of improvement there. I won't go into that, but I want to ask Craig and Corey. I want to know, Corey, how'd you get the new Corey? And Craig, how do you have such that calm demeanor and good mental game? Mike, you're okay. Sorry.
You can go, Craig. I don't know how I got me.
I don't know. So I try not to get stressed out. I try to be controlled. But to me, I think what takes away anxiety is preparation, right? So if you walk the stage, and I'm anal, and Tom is anal, and we walk stages together, and I walk stages, I walk the crap out of stages. And then before I'm going to shoot, when I'm maybe 3 or 4 guys, I'm constantly running the mental program. And my mental program is, I know in my mind's eye where every target is, detailed kind of where every step would be, where I'm putting my dot on, specifically where I'm putting my dot, not on the brown, but on a spot, you know, on hardcover and no shoots. So that takes away a lot of anxiety, you know. I think that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if anybody, you know, has mental issues, like with matches, Lenny Basham's CDs is mental management for shooting sports, is money that you just can't. It's, oh my gosh, it's awesome.
Have you ever taken Steve Anderson's class? Have you ever taken Anderson?
Yeah, no, he's awesome. He's good, but what really helped me out is that. I mean, I hate, you know, that's helped me huge. And so I run a mental program, and then, you know, I'm running it over and over until all I think about in shooting a stage is kind of what Steve Anderson says is I've run the mental program so much that I no longer have to think about where I'm going. Now I'm only concentrating on shooting alpha. And in my head, I'm like alpha, 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 alpha. That's all I'm doing is shooting alphas because I've mentally programmed everything else. So that's kind of how I do it. I don't know.
That's cool.
I don't think about anything else. Think about where you place. I don't look at scores. I know there's a lot of guys and a lot of better people, a lot of better shooters than me look at scores. But like, if I have to worry about, if I'm thinking about what someone else is doing, I'm not thinking about what I'm supposed to be doing. So, after I shoot the stage, I may look at their score on the stage, but I never look at anybody else's scores before I shoot a stage.
Yep.
No, I never do.
Isaac was really bad about that. And he was like, I was like, hey, bro, does that even help you? He's like, no, not really. I was like, then why are you looking at it? It doesn't matter if it's the last stage or not. It's just.
I don't know.
Everybody's different, but for me, it works.
Differently. I don't get nervous with it. I use it because I've been screwed, I've been around since PCC started. So, if you've been around shooting PCC for 3-4 years now, you've been screwed by an RO with the sensitivity too high and they're picking up shots from the other bay. And so I look at scores because I'm like, okay, look, everybody's top time here. I know I'm one of the fastest ones, right? So like if JJ's this and these guys are this, like I should be around the same time. So that way, if the stage is 12.5 on average, and then all of a sudden you hear the RO call at the end of it, like 15.7, like, whoa, can you please check the last split? So I use looking at scores before a stage just to kind of know that I'm not getting railed because it's happened to me before. So, I don't know, like people get nervous about looking at scores. I don't when I look at the score, the guy with the number 1 PCC score obviously shot a good stage. You wouldn't be a number 1 PCC without it. So like all I'm looking for is just executing my plan. And if I execute my plan, then I'm going to be better in my head anyway. I mean, it didn't happen stage 3 as Kenzie saw and Christina saw. Tried to do something different and it didn't really work out. But at the end of the day, it doesn't make me nervous so much as it's just like, I just want to know because it takes pressure off of me because to me, the unknown puts more pressure on me. So if I didn't know what other people were doing and I can't see live scoring, I'm just going to assume that like, wow, they're just smoking it at every stage. And like, my little mistake here and it's going to build in my head. So if I could see that, like whether they did good or not, I just know what the score is. I'll feel so much better before I shoot because I feel less pressure. But that's just I'm a lot different than most people. I'm kind of psychotic, so I wouldn't really take my advice.
Corey, old Corey to new Corey. How did new Corey come out?
I just realized that getting in my head wasn't helping me, and I needed to, really focus on just not trying to do something new at a big match. I'm there to show what I've already learned, not learn a new skill or try something new, or even to the point of I don't even look at odd stage plans that much anymore at big matches. Mm-hmm. I know that I might think I can have a better stage plan because I can cut a spot out or something. But generally, I take the NASCAR approach to where like as long as you pit with everyone else, you can't be left like way behind and laps down,
I love that.
I'll be like, okay, Mike, what's the stage plan? As long as I do Mike's stage plan, I can generally be in that, a few percent.
Yeah, Area 6 was pretty rough, man. I mean, like I came out and I sucked so bad, but then Corey came out. He hadn't walked any of the stages, and like during the 5-minute or the 4-minute walkthrough now, Corey's like, well, what are we doing? It's like, go here, shoot this, shoot that. And then Corey would just come out and just crush it. It was like, okay, like, why can't I be doing that? Like, I walked through these about 1 million times. Corey just heard about it 2 seconds ago, and he's smoking it. Uh-huh. So, I mean, you were giving me a little validation. Like, you see, like, I know my stage plans are good. I just suck. So that,
Then you did 2 wonky stages where I was like, Mike, if you just ran it like the stage would want you to.
I don't know. I usually find going against the grain sometimes is a good thing because, like, everybody's going this way. And especially me and Corey were talking about it. I don't know how you feel about this, Craig or Christina. But, like, as a righty, going from right to left, on a stage needs to be significantly better for me to do it. Because now I have to shoot across my body. I have to drag a gun. Maybe it's something I need to work on. But me and Corey were both talking about it because we shot on the same squad with Christina and Kenzie. But it's just like, when I'm stage planning, I always find that it's a lot better to go with the gun.
Only reason I didn't do that was my ankle, and I was very upset. I was afraid of that one stage.
I don't know. Like it's necessarily faster to do it one way or the other, but you're going to take more shots while you're comfortable.
Yeah.
So your likelihood of alphas is higher, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it backfired on that one. I lost 1.5 seconds on a 5-second stage, which is huge. So like,
it wasn't 5 seconds, but
but it was, yeah. So I don't know. I felt good that I stuck with it, and all you guys were going the other way, and I'm like, I'm just going to go this way, and hopefully,
I did it because I'd been to the range, whatever range time 2 weeks before, and practice shooting right to left and left to right. And if it was a solid same, I tend to practice with 3 targets minimum, or like 3 targets. And, you want alpha, 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 alpha. And I did that moving, and well, it presented like that. And you didn't have to run with the gun. You had it up the entire time for that stage. So in that case, I didn't notice any like significant difference right to left or left to right if you're not having to manipulate the gun besides just shooting. Yeah. It's like the same.
Fair enough. I've got like no questions left here. Anybody else?
Oh, I mean,
so the only thing I would add to that is I walk stages with Tom and Tom Castro, and he's really good. I mean, he sees a lot of stuff I don't. I just that's not my strength, is walking stages. And sometimes he'll see stuff and it's like, hey, right to left is better. I'm like, geez, really? Because it's like right to left. But like stage 2 was an example that right to left to me was, to him, he saw it. I'm like, and it's better. It flowed better.
That's the one.
That's an example.
I disagreed though, because
that's
stage
okay.
2,
I mean, that's why it's great. It's all freestyle. Well,
I know, but the only advantage I saw on stage 2, and this is why I went left to right, was that you get to the right side and you have 3 nice targets to look at. But after that, I said I was shooting way across my body, and that was super uncomfortable. Whereas I can run to the left, and yeah, it was kind of onto a downhill landing area, which is a little more risky. But I just, again, go back to what me and Corey were saying, man. Going left to right, I can shoot as I'm running that way, but to drag the gun, you ain't shooting. So having to go right to left is definitely different. But I mean, how do you feel do you feel like Tom would change that if he had a PCC, or do you think that he would run it right to left?
No. So I asked him that, and we have that conversation all the time. And I'm totally comfortable going right to left. I have zero issue with it. You know what I mean? It's none. And I'm shooting on the move, and he's helped me out huge, man, with shooting on the move. That's the only thing I can say is, he told me initially, hey, you're going to suck. You're going to throw a bunch of mics. But now I'm to the point where I'm able to shoot left, right, whatever. But in that specific instance, for me, it worked better going right to left. That's the only thing I could say. I mean, and that's the good thing about freestyle, because in this match in general, we spoke about it before, good Lord, how many different ways were there to run this match? And you could run 3 or 4 different ways on some of these stages, and it would not kill you. You would, as long as you executed, you were right up there with the top of everybody else, which was pretty cool. It was a really good match.
You guys went right to left on another stage, like stage 9 or 10 or something like that. It was sort of like
the wonky one. 9 was the one that you could have started in the back or the front in the window. We all
9.
Yeah.
We went right to left on 9.
Right, and we went left to right. We started at the 4. It was a little bit of a retreat, but a little different.
I want to redo that stage though. I want to shoot it 3 different ways. I wanted to come in.
No, I would love to. I was saying the same.
So much fun. That was my favorite stage of the whole match. I did horrible as stages go, but you go up, you go middle, you go back. It was fun.
I ran it to the right. Larry Talbot ran it to the left, and he did really well. I think he beat me by 2 or 3 points, but it flowed either way. I watched Max Michel run it. I think he ran it from right to left. Man, you could have shot that thing a few different ways. It was, I thought, like I said, I think this was a great match because you could have shot all these stages multiple ways, and they wouldn't have hurt you. How many stages have we all shot, or matches where, if you go one way, you're just done. It just screws you bad. I don't think this was one of those stages matches. It was great.
No, really it was fun. It's funny being a PCC shooter too. I don't know if you've noticed, with walkthroughs with pistol shooters, or the ones that you have to reload every 10 rounds, you're completely running into each other while you're walking.
I know. Going against the grain.
We deal with that with Darren, because Darren's a lefty, so usually Darren's going the opposite way. So it's when you're doing the walkthroughs, you got to give Darren an extra 30 seconds because he's got to do the whole stage before he gets out of the way, because his last position is usually our first. But
because he's wrong-handed.
Right, he's the wrong hand when he was a kid.
Right. Yeah, no, but I mean,
people in our sport.
Yeah, but I mean, if there's not much left here, because Kenzie was saying before that she's running out of questions, but I just wanted to say, anybody out there that's listening, if you see any of us out at a match, feel free to come up and say hi. And if you're interested in shooting the guns, don't be shy. Please come over and say hi, and I'll gladly let you fire a few rounds if they have a practice bay. You get to try in my gun, the Scheel buffer. Craig has a super heavy gun with a JP buffer, so we got them set up a couple different ways, but bring over some ammo. I'll let you load up a mag and have some fun. So yeah.
Same. Christina and I got ammo sponsors. You guys can shoot our ammo. We sound horrible, but really.
Go to Kenzie or Christina and get their ammo, and then come over and grab the gun, and then you can see what it's like. There you go.
I always travel with a backup gun too, so I've always got one available if someone has a gun go down or something.
Me too. Right. Now, people don't trust me anymore because I break everything. So, like, why would I want to borrow your gun? I swear to God, I have two that work, and it's phenomenal.
We had at Area 6. Oh, go ahead.
You're going to give it to Kenzie, and then we'll really know if Davinci can hold the life strong.
That is true.
No malfunction thing that it has going for it. Just give it to Kenzie.
At Area 6, we actually took a bay. We actually went, I think it was stage 4. After the match, I had 3 or 4 people like hit me up, and we shot rounds at the end, at the end of the bay, and tried stuff out. So like I always say, like I was putting in my Instagram, like, listen, man, hit one of us up wearing a Davinci shirt, and I always try to bring extra ammo, and try it out, man. And if you got a PCC, maybe I can try yours out. I love shooting different stuff, man.
Yeah.
So
Craig, nice, but preferably don't shoot my ammo. Bring it over.
The cool part, though, for people listening, and I know Mike has not followed instructions yet, but look for the team page on Davinci's website actually coming soon. I'm actually going to have everybody's match schedules on there. So I'll actually be able to list out where Corey will be, where I will be. So if we've got overlapping, cool. But if we're at different matches, you can find us all across the country, which is kind of nice. So I'm working on that.
Yeah, in my most recent USPSA magazine they sent to my house, they had like the match schedule for the year. I have a lot of circles on there. It's like more than half the page. Like, I'm going to a lot of these.
I wish.
Yeah. Now, actually, before we wrap up too, I want to talk about nationals too. So going to nationals, like, what are you guys doing to like prepare for that mentally, physically, and obviously with practice? And what's your goals for nationals?
To do well.
A class.
Okay.
If I'm not there already, I want A class.
You want to bump at nationals A class?
I don't care. Like, this is where nationals, major match, it doesn't matter to me. They're all big matches, right? I want to go to every single match I shoot, and I want to come off the range feeling like whether I won or not, that I did, obviously I always want to win, but that I did the best that I could do, and I didn't leave anything out there. And that's, almost impossible because there's always going to be times that you feel like you're leaving something out there. But for me, like, I just want to know in my heart that I did as good as I could, and I didn't let myself down. I'm pretty hard on myself, so if I don't have a good performance, it's pretty depressing, But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you always hope you come away with the win, but as long as I feel like I'm shooting solid, I mean, that's all you could really ask for. I mean, when you're going to nationals, though, all the best shooters are there, right? So like we got the Maxes and the Joshes and the Zach Smiths, which are all on the West Coast, and me and Corey are more East Coast guys. Craig's Christina and Craig also East Coast people. So those guys out there are really, really good with PCC.
Brian, don't forget Brian.
Oh,
yeah, Brian's an East Coaster also. Brian took
Marco crushes souls. Dude, that whole yeah.
Oh,
I shoot with Marco.
I don't want to talk about Marco.
Greg's in the middle.
I don't want to talk about Marco. I owe Marco one for Aruba because he got me by like 1.5. And
we call him Little Brown.
I want to go back to Aruba so bad and go down there and just like get it off. But we're not doing that this year. I know he's going back, but yeah.
Okay, Christine, do you want to say anything
I'm hoping for top 20.
20. Okay.
My preparation. I don't want anything to mess up the mental game. So like, me and Christine, we both live down in South Florida. I mean, I probably live 5 miles from her.
Nice.
I was born and raised in Miami. I still live down here. Shooting in cold weather sucks. I just don't have any experience in it. So one of my preparations is actually just to get proper cold weather stuff, just in case it is cold, so it doesn't take anything away from my mental game.
It's called Under Armour.
Ask Christina. No. Ask Christina what she has right now.
Well, I had a legit total freak out when I woke up. I mean, I knew what the temperature was going to be, but when I saw it in North Carolina, I kind of legit freaked out a little, and I don't actually do that almost ever. And I was texting my teammates. I'm like, I got to go to the store. I need more warm stuff. Like, I'm not ready. I don't have a scarf. Like, I'm just going to get cold. And I was kind of freaking out. I mean, I was in Maine before Florida, but Miami thins your blood super fast. So I was freaking out. Well, Kenzie had an extra pair of wool clothing, and I still have it in my car right now. Okay. I'll be returning it to her.
Just like sisters.
I need the clothing. Like, it worked really well. I mean, I was super comfortable. I wore it day 2 because we were shooting in the morning, and man, I was Gucci. I was good.
Craig, that plays a big role though. I'm the same way. I was really like not happy with how cold that was on day one for us. Like we didn't expect that. But for people listening, it's not Under Armour, Mike. Hold on. It's merino wool. Like I backpack in the Smokies in 30-degree weather and snow. So it's merino wool head to toe.
Yeah, but the Under Armour is very nice because it's tight though. So it's
the same thing. Merino wool is comfortable and tight. It's the same thing.
Feel, yeah.
It's the same thing. The neck garter of the socks and the pants and the shirt.
Back to how I expect to place or what I expect. I don't put, I'm not going to put like some expectation. I can't control how anybody else shoots. What I can control is how I shoot. So my goal to go there is to control every facet of how I shoot. And if I can do that, and roll the punches and fight through things, and I'm going to have, there's going to be some ups and downs, and, you've got to learn how to, deal with failure. I mean, listen, I got DQ'd at Nats last year. I'm not embarrassed to say it. It was, it was stupid, but it was my fault. But how do you learn? Where do you learn? So even if I go up there and I just totally, suck at like 10 stages, you could either go up there and not learn anything and just say, oh, I suck or whatever, or learn from that, use it as a learning thing. So, I'm trying to get better, and I always want to get better. And so I'm not going to let anything go to waste. But I am going to pay attention to how I shoot. Me, not anybody else, but me. So that's what I'm going to do. To go up there and say, "Oh, I'm going to win that." Well, I mean, that means if you don't, you failed. No, hell no. I'm going to go up there and shoot the absolute best and look at every little, our sport is all about minutia, right? I mean, especially when you get to higher level, it's little minutia. So I'm going to try to take care of all of the minutia, and everything else will take care of itself. That's how I feel.
I think I looked at that with, of course, shooting with Mike and Corey though. And Mike, when you had really good stages, the seconds, the time, I'm like, okay, I'm only a second behind. Yeah, that adds up, right? That's 12 seconds overall. That's a ton of time. But for me to be that close on some of the movement stuff, I'm excited. So
I thought you shot really well at Area 6. I mean, your movement was good.
Thank you. Well, and
that's what it's all about. It's making it get around the course of fire. If shooting is one thing, but you got to be able to hit the positions fast. And a lot of it when you're using the rifle, because it's so long, it's all about like, well, am I going to come in on my left foot or my right foot? Like that makes a big difference for like the exit. So like there's a lot of little nuances about moving around the course of fire with a PCC that, to me, that's what makes it fun. I always say when I'm shooting a good stage, it feels like I'm dancing. I'm a horrible dancer, but like I'm not looking down and my feet are hitting the fault line perfectly. And most of that goes, like Craig was saying, into preparation where you're stage planning. And, if you do enough stage planning and you have it in your head well enough, it kind of just all works together. But yeah, to me, it's a lot of movement, I mean, you got to still be able to hit the alphas too, though. I have a lot of mics. That's my problem.
Craig, I'm super jealous though. Looking at your performance too, like you had Tom Castro as your mentor, like your teacher, your person that helps walk you through stage plans. I mean, that's huge. And Christina, if you coach or you get coached by Craig, you're gonna be whooping everybody's butt. And that's the biggest
I walked with them at the Open, and that's kind of like that's the most I've been around you and Tom, and that was incredible.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time walking stages together. Everything.
Yeah, that was really, really awesome. And like Tom's, and I squatted with you guys too. And Tom's like aggression, and I mean it's very true with this game. If you're not moving wherever you can, you're behind. Even just from the Open, which is in February, to Area 6, I mean, I went from like not missing when I'm actually making that happen, just like you said, like, oh, you're going to miss some and then you're going to close that gap. Well, I'm definitely still closing the gap, but when it comes together, I'm excited, just like you can.
Yeah.
I've had I'm going to throw a plug in for Tom. Like he's got his own Tom Castro Shooting Academy, and he's been a huge help, man. I mean, there's no other way for me to say it. Like he sees stuff that I wish I'm at that level. I'm just not yet. And even in the Area 6, listen, man, it's better to be lucky than good. So we all want to win. Everybody wants to win every single time, and I shot a really good match, but that's not how it is all the time. But he saw stuff that, while I'm in the match, like, dadgummit, how come I can't? So it's an advantage. I mean, but, when you shoot in squad with someone that's really good, I mean, they help you out, and the other thing I would say is, make sure you're able to do some of the stuff that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you need to know your own abilities, too. So.
Well, it's like when we squad up, I want to beat them, but I'm going to play my game because I know that I'm not at that level. So if you try to shoot Mike style and I'm at this level, it's not going to go well.
I feel like everyone kind of needs someone that helps them push hard, like the Tom that's just like the gas pedal, go, go, go. And then maybe someone that's the voice of reason and kind of, like Josh Fralick is a really good, if you ever talk to him or listen to any of the stuff that he says, it's all about control and every shot, where it's going. And so like having to know when to listen to this advice or that advice, or like, I'm going to listen to this podcast on the way here because it's going to make me more aggressive, or I'm going to listen to this other one because it's probably going to reel me in and this is probably what I need to do.
Yeah.
That can really serve you well, I think, if you know yourself good enough to know what you need.
Yeah.
I think in the end, when we're all shooting minor, this is all about shooting alphas.
Yeah.
And not deltas. I mean, to me, and Marco Cabahug and Aruba, when we squatted with him, Mike, he was like, "Listen, man, a delta is a no penalty mic. It's a mic. That's all it is. Yep. So there should be, zero friggin' deltas. We should all be striving for alphas.
I was 1.5% for proving him wrong. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. I mean,
still a loss.
It hurts. It still hurts. If Marco's out there,
don't embarrass me.
No. I want to do final thoughts real quick. I wanted to say one more thing too, is like Jason Clark too with PCC. He's been doing the same, Craig, with me, where he's sending me his videos. If he shot Area 6, he would send me the GoPro footage and I could see his stage plan. And I only ran like 1 or 2 stages differently from him. And I even took a chance. Like my thing was this year is I'm doing stuff that normally I would be reserved, like that swinger on 12. I normally would have done from the back, played it slow. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to take 5 shots on it. And I got 3 shots on it. And I was stoked. But like, that was a big deal for me because the last 3 matches, I haven't had a single miss on swingers. And I was terrified of swingers. And I bought the Go Fast, Don't Suck swinger. And that changed for me. So I don't know. I'm excited.
You want me to ruin you mentally right now? Don't blow your streak, Kenzie. Don't blow the streak, The next match. Just
I'm second, though. I'm second. I've already blown the streak. I've lost. Second is losing.
That's all right.
But I'll start with you, Mike. We won't even talk about that. Final thoughts for the people listening to the podcast. Anything else you want to leave them?
Yeah, final thoughts. I mean, I don't know. To wrap up on Davinci crew, I'd say I feel super blessed and super fortunate to be a part of, the team that we have and the guys that are on it, and Dave and Adriana. And I just, every day and every time I go shoot for them, I just, thinking about representing them and, trying to do the best that I can. It's kind of like the dream come true almost in a way. It's kind of been from the time I started, but really, really nice gun. If you guys are in the market for a PCC, definitely check them out, davincimachining.com, and or just, email Dave and you guys can start building your own gun up. So I know that they've been starting to sell uppers and lowers so you can build your own. So check that out also. But that's about it.
Yeah. Christina?
Super excited for the year. This is going to be the best year ever on the range. It's already hitting the ground running. I think I'm 3 majors in, and just be part of the team. And like you said, having equipment that works. And the biggest thing about this year is I'm actually training pretty hard and putting rounds downrange outside of the matches. So I'm looking forward to growing and being part of the team.
You're doing good on physical stuff too, yoga and stretching and all that. Good job.
Oh yeah.
That's a game. Greg?
I would say something more general. I would say, if anybody wants to get better, this sport's all about fun, and we all have a great time. But work on getting yourself better. We go to these matches, and a lot of guys, the first thing they say is, "Oh, I suck. I shot on my dadgummit." Stop talking negative about yourself. I mean, try to change your mental game. If your mental game is not there, this sport is huge in mental. And I'm not even there yet. But think about it. It's probably 90-something% mental. Really. And so hopefully everybody, you try to get better and practice. Do dry fire. I can't get out to the range all the time. Dry fire. Don't make excuses and work on your mental game, and that'll take care of a lot.
You don't even have to run a belt to dry fire for PCC, but go ahead.
Yeah, lastly, I feel, every time I go to the range and I get to shoot, and shoot for Davinci, I feel fortunate. It's not owed to me. There's nothing owed to me. I never thought I'd be a sponsored shooter. I never thought I'd, be in this position. So I'm just grateful, and so that's it. That's all I wanted to say.
I love it. Corey Scheel.
All of this kind of the same things that they said. I think that this is just a great family. Dave and Adriana are just, great people, awesome to work with and work for. If you're ever, want to check out my stuff, there's lots of different people out there shooting them on lots of different platforms. The Davinci is the best, but it does go on to lots of other ones. So, check me out at scheelmfg.com or through the Davinci website.
Love it. Thank you guys for joining.
Oh, hold on. Since you're the newest team member, what about you, Kenzie? What are your final thoughts?
Of course I had to do that. No, huge thank you to Davinci, even to give me a chance on marketing too. I think it's again, people have seen it. It's a big deal to be able to represent a company and have gear that works. Like, I don't run anything in my life that, I don't believe in or trust. And that's been my struggle point for a long time. But like Craig said, like, I'm putting in the work, dry firing, live firing, going to matches, trying to be a lot less negative towards myself, trying to build people up too. And I have to remember at the end of the day, if it's not fun, don't go. And I did take 4 months off from burnout, and then I came back stronger because I was mentally in a much better place than I was. So I'm excited to see what 2022 brings and beyond.
Sweet. Well, that was fun.
There you go.
Thanks for coming on, guys. It was good talking to you.
Love it. Love it. Thanks everybody for listening. Stay tuned to the next episode of the Reticle Up Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Reticle Up Podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Follow along on social media at Reticle Up or 3 Gun Kenzie.